Advertisers. This is Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome to the Gratitude Cafe, positive radio to feed your soul. Your dynamic host and founder, Sue Lundquist, will bring you her own intuitive talents and gifts for co-creating, healing, and teaching. Her show, The Gratitude Cafe, positive radio to feed your soul, is focused on bringing you to a higher place each week where you can leave the hustle of life at the door. So pull up a chair and join us for The Gratitude Cafe, positive radio to feed your soul.
Your cheerleader right here. Woo! Hello, Benny.
Another day, we're at it.
Another day, another dollar. What's our weather doing, Benny?
It'll clear. Calm down.
I hope so.
It will.
I'm wearing a skirt.
What?
A skirt. You know,
that?
It's like shorts and a skirt combined.
I know there's jorts.
Jean
shorts.
No.
Yep.
No.
Come on.
No.
Going back to the 90s since you're a huge fan.
No.
That's true.
Funny. Okay, guys, this is not the Fashion 101 show, and I have no idea what Benny's talking about. A skirt.
I know.
Women love skirts because they're short.
And now you know how I feel about jorts.
I think we've really gotten off the hanging goal. I can't even talk. But that's
You look
all right.
fabulous, by the way.
Thank
If
you.
that's what you're waiting for.
Oh, I wasn't waiting for that, but I'll take it.
Good.
Yeah.
All right,
you
I'll
look
give-
so tan. The boys are
Thank
good.
you. There, Allison. Yep. We had a good
Summer.
last weekend. Yeah, it's full force.
Yeah. Well, it's already for me, not so much now, and you know this with Wazoo. We're going to
Go Cougs.
Wazoo. Yep, we're going to Wazoo on Friday.
So happy for you. I want to go back.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I
Do
do.
you really?
What do you mean, no, I don't?
Do you really?
Who doesn't want to go there? I mean, why not, right? It's only appropriate.
Okay, if you do
You're
that,
welcome.
you know you have to do a hustle.
Sorry, what?
I know.
Sorry, what?
All right, guys, welcome. Sue Lundquist here. It is the Gratitude Cafe. I have two amazing guests this morning, including Mr. Benny, who's cougaring out.
Cougaring out?
I
Wait,
was
what?
gonna say couging, but that's more of a female thingy, isn't it?
Yeah,
What's that?
sure. All right.
Sure, whatever. All right.
You run with that one.
I'll run with it. All right, guys. So I swear this is a really good professional radio show, and you guys know that I get goofy and we have a good time. But before we get started, I've got some housekeeping I want to talk to you guys about. Of course, when we are shedding old beliefs, old habits, and those experiences, whether it's trauma, fears, all of that, and we're shedding that, and we're in that transformational stage. We're in that. Like I said, it's the shedding of old beliefs and old stories, and that is why I created the Craziness to Clarity template for transformation. And that template for transformation is exactly the answer for your practical tools to help you get through all of those, like crazy. You guys hear me talk about the drunk monkey and all the mindset tools that you possibly could have. It's all in the Craziness to Clarity, and it helps you with real life practical like decisions and choices. It's like having your own personal navigation system, especially when you are in the throes of you got your own turmoil, you got traumas, and you have other things that are going on. And these tools really help you to stand in your personal power, create your purpose. So if that is something that sounds good to you, please go to SueLundquist.com/C2C and check out the Craziness Clarity Challenge. I am also going to be doing little mini events. We're calling it Reclaim the Essence of You, and that's actually part of the Craziness to Clarity format that I'm doing and the program and the curriculum. But the Reclaiming the Essence of You is exactly that. It is reclaiming who you are and being able to stand in your purpose and your power. And then you've got the mindset tools with Craziness to Clarity. So I'm going to be traveling around doing these little mini events. So if you would like to take part in that, give me a call or, of course, email me, and we can set up a phone conversation and see where you're at in the world, whether it's international or national. There's going to be a trip to Costa Rica, Florence, and Arizona, and Mexico coming up. So if you want to do that in the U.S., I'd love to talk to you. Of course, go to SueLundquist.com and sign up for the newsletter if you want a copy of the radio show. Today, we've got a two-part series. We've got two guests at the top of the hour this morning, then we're going to bring on another guest for the second half. However, If you guys want to get a free gift, you're going to want to get your dial and fingers going and call in, and we need to get your, and this is for U.S., for the folks that live in U.S., because we're not shipping to international just yet, but we have an option for our international guests, and we're going to get to that in just a minute. So if you would like a copy of the book that we're going to be talking about, please call and give Benny your first and last name and your address of where we can send these books, and we'd be happy to do that. You can call 1-888-298-5569, and of course, locally, 425-373-5527. We're actually giving out 2 books. Thank you, Paula. Reminding me.
My eyes got big for a minute. I'm like, how many are we giving away?
Thank you.
Okay.
Dos, por favor. Dos. What did I say?
No, you never gave a number.
I never gave a number. I'm like, disclaimer, we're only giving 2 out, not to our U.S. customers.
I've been working really hard in the other
U.S. customers? No, U.S.
listeners.
Listeners, thank you very much. So 1-888-298-5569. So we're going to get started. We're just going to jump in because today is all about inspiration. And I love this on the back of the book. It says, are you ready to jump out of the fishbowl? Are you tired of what you've been swimming in? Do you want to be inspired? I love that. So we've got Miss Paula Myers and Miss Allison. Is it Voth? Voth, right. Here in the studio today. And they are launching their book for all of the international ones. You can see us in studio. I'm holding up the book right now. And I'm just, honestly, I'm going to jump in. You know, normally I do like the professional bio and all that, but you know what? I just want to jump in. So I'm going to start with Paula. I'd like to know how you came about the book, and how both you and Allison, how it all kind of collaborated together, and then both share your stories and let the audience get to know who you are and where y'all come from.
Okay. Well, I'm Paula Meyer, and I'm from the Seattle, Washington area, actually Rainier, which is about an hour and a half south. And I recently became a widow, and that's kind of how I got involved in all of this. So my husband, Gary, passed away on June 1st, 2018, and I decided to, last February, retire from my job. I had an amazing job with Dr. Joe Dispenza, was his event director, and met some really amazing people, which is how I met Sue.
Hi.
Many years ago. She contacted me to set up Dr. Joe for an interview.
Well, I thought it was ECO. Your company before that, because you were
No, I was already working with Joe.
Oh, were you?
then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. So yeah, I decided to take a little hiatus from work and just heal myself from the trauma of losing my life partner. And I happened to go to a good friend of mine, Liz Dawn, who runs the Celebrate Your Life events, had an International Women's Summit, and I went to that in Phoenix in March, and it was an amazing summit where I heard some really super powerful, amazing women speak. And I happened to meet a lady there named Kira. So Kira Schaefer, who is the publisher for this book, I met her, and I don't know, maybe a week or so after the event, she posted about looking for authors to write a story. And I'd never thought about that. And I thought, well, maybe I could write something about, what happened after Gary passed, and how I'm moving forward, and just share a little bit about that, and that's how I met her and got involved with that. And then I'll turn it over to Allison, and she can share how she got involved with it.
Welcome, Allison. Hi. Thank you, Paula. Thank you, love.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, happy to have you.
All right. So my name's Allison Voth. I come from White Rock, British Columbia, Canada. So just 2 hours north, up there, as you call it. And I'm down here.
We got lots of Canadians listening all over Canada. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know Super Sue from the Dr. Joe Dispenza advanced retreats that I've attended, and also completed 2 of her craziness to clarity challenges, and those were fantastic. So, about me, I found out about this through Paula's Facebook page, actually, and it really excited me because I've always wanted to publish some poetry, and I decided to write about a story an experience that happened to me almost 9 years ago now, a personal health challenge, and how I shifted my perspective and transmuted the fear into something positive.
Yeah. Brave girl. brave. Good for you.
Thank you.
So what was the inspiration? We'll leave it up. I mean, obviously we kind of dabbled on the inspiration behind the book, but let's get to the nuts and bolts of it. I mean, how did you come about creating the poetry, Allison or
Right.
Paula? Your story as well. You guys go ahead. Allison, go ahead, love.
Well, okay, so the poetry actually that's part of my story came at the time I was having this health challenge. I was in the hospital for the third time. I had a spontaneous lung collapse. It's called spontaneous pneumothorax. And I was like, what? I don't know what that is.
But I can't breathe.
Yeah. So it was in my
Which is important.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was in my left lung. So basically, when there's a tear in the lining of your lung is just like a deflated balloon. And so all that air is building up. So the third time it happened within the month, I was waiting for emergency surgery. And part of that challenge was I wasn't able to eat because they starved me every day for surgery. So I just had the IV.
Oh.
I wasn't allowed to drink water at a certain point. I was quarantined because I was transferred from hospital to hospital. And so I wasn't even allowed to shower. And so when you realize when all your kind of personal liberties, I would say, or things you take for granted are taken away and you have no control over any of that, you really are just left with what's in your mind because you have nowhere else to go. Your body can't go anywhere and you've got the mind to deal with. So the poetry came about me just laying in that hospital bed and self-reflecting on things and how I can really shift my perspective and my awareness to something that sparked joy or inspiration. So when I get out of the hospital, I want to do these things. And I just wrote about it. I just put pen to paper and that was kind of my saving grace.
You're healing, like cathartic, right?
Yeah.
Inspiring for those that are listening too, that there is hope on the other side, right? There's so much opportunity on the other side of fear or grief. There's just so much more, but you have the choice. You have the choice whether you're going to move forward or not.
Yes.
So, and be brave. And
Yes.
it can be a challenging opportunity. I call it. Paula, how about you, love?
Well, for me, the title of my chapter is A Reluctant Widow's Grateful Journey, and I wanted to, nobody wants to be in the Widows Club, and we knew, that my husband was going to die, and I had time to plan, if you want to call it that, but I wanted to look at what's the gift in it. I didn't want to be suffering and grief forever, and he wouldn't want that for me, and so my article is a little bit about kind of leading up to his death. There's a really important paragraph in there that actually relates to Sue because I was supposed to go to Berlin for work I think I was supposed to leave on a Thursday, and it was on a Monday that we got the news that there was nothing more that they could do for him. And Gary had never asked me to not go anywhere. I used to bring, family would come and stay with him when I had to travel, and this was the only time he ever asked me not to go. And he said, I need you to be here to transition with me. And so, it was heartbreaking for us. So I stayed behind, and Dr. Joe and I worked out how we would, make sure that he was taken care of, and my duties for my work were covered. And then so we just stayed, and I have a couple of really good friends from Holland, Richard and Fabian, and as soon as they heard I wasn't coming to Berlin, they booked flights and flew from Holland to come spend time with us. And Sue happened to we had all been together, me, you, and Fabian in Italy, and you wanted to see them and meet Richard. I don't know that you'd met Richard yet. Maybe that was the first time you met him. And anyway, so Sue came down too, and Sue had a really mystical experience that helped Gary decide that he was ready. And I don't know if it's okay to share that with you.
Yeah, it's your story,
audience,
sweetheart.
But I didn't really go into this in detail in the book. But what happened is that they came, and Richard and Fabian had just come in from an international flight, so they were tired. So they were sitting out in the fire pit area just relaxing, and Sue was sitting out there also, and decided to do a meditation. And when she finished the meditation, she told me what had happened, and she said that she had seen like a blue pillar of light that was in a specific spot, and that there were beings waiting for him whenever he was ready. No
Lots
rush.
of female beings.
Yeah, and it was a lot of female beings.
Very
and,
powerful
yeah.
female beings.
And
yeah.
so I went and told Gary, he was upstairs. He, by that time, his energy was very depleted. And, he could only like visit us in like 15 or 20 minute increments. He'd come out and then he'd have to go back in and just rest up. But anyway, I went upstairs and I told him about it. And I couldn't tell what his reaction was initially. I thought maybe there was a little bit of fear and happiness,
Yeah.
maybe both, because, I guess if, they're ready for me, do I have to go yet or what? But anyway, he came down and I asked Sue, you tell him yourself what you experienced. And she actually took him to the spot and she stood behind him and wrapped her arms around him, and they had a few moments there. And after that, he stayed out longer with us. He enjoyed everybody's company. He was kind of mad at me that I brought people in. I flew my kids in and I invited his aunt and uncle. And he didn't want to be seen or remembered for the way his body looked in the end.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, it just like lightened his spirit, and he was happy to be with us. Remember, he sat out there and he was, we pulled one of those
Yes.
little loungy chairs up
Yep.
so that he could kind of relax, and he had a great time, and it was a great way to go out. And the one gift that he always said to me, the greatest gift of his illness was the love he received from our community. And I continue to receive that love today. And so that's kind of what that story is all about.
So if you guys are just tuning in, we're talking about a beautiful launch, Inspirations, 101 Uplifting Stories for Daily Happiness. And Kira Schaefer is the publisher. Is that
And
correct?
her husband, Todd.
And her husband, Todd, are the publisher of this book. If you guys are looking, you'll see the book here in studio. We are giving away 2 books for U.S. callers. So if you want to call in, you can. 1-888-298-5569. Do we know how many stories are in? 101 stories.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
101 stories. Come on, Sue. Of uplifting stories for daily happiness. So, guys, this is just, it's like your sip of inspiration that you can have on a daily basis. And it's like the coffee book, the coffee table
Yeah.
book where you keep going back to it. And it's like the it's also for me, because I'm seated in practicality other than 5D and speaking to spirit and all that, but this is a really good maintenance tool to have, so you can go and tap into inspiration. You can go in and tap into other people's stories, because you don't have to feel isolated. You don't have to feel alone, that so many of us in trauma, in grief, experience, that we feel that we're alone, and we have a tendency to isolate ourselves. So this book, 100 Uplifting Stories for Daily Happiness, I highly, highly recommend you guys get it. We're giving 2 free copies today. And if you want to get your copy, you can call 1-888-298-5569. Give Benny your first and last name and your address, and we will get you the book. We are also doing, they're also doing, Paula and Allison, you have a Facebook group, and that's called...
Yeah, it's the Inspirations for Daily Happiness.
Inspirations for Daily Happiness. I will post that on you'll see all of my postings. I'll post the link. And if you go on there and join the Facebook group and just, you just say you heard about radio or say something.
Yeah, maybe say I was on the radio with Sue today.
Yeah, something like that. And then we'll know. And then they're going to give some PDFs, copies of the book via PDF, and they're going to draw names for a couple of those copies. So lots of free goodies. Allison, darling, tell me more about the inspiration. And I would love, do you want to read a little bit, or do you want me to?
Maybe, if you don't mind, can I read the poem?
Yes, please.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
Yes.
Ooh, this is an edge for me to read this out loud.
Ooh.
So my story's on page 280 in the book, and it's titled A Lesson or a Test. So I'll read the poem, and that'll give you sort of some insight into what I was going through.
You got this, girl.
No one can predict what shall come, the start, beginning, or end. Is it a lesson or a test. Difficult times and health paused in a breath. It hurts in my chest. A deep breath is a test. Are they going to starve me to death? No food, no water, just rest. I learned to hold in my mind's eye my goals and positive thoughts. Did I learn it or choose it? It is a choice to think this or that. Doing the best I can. Life doesn't always go to plan. The universe provides what is meant for my highest good. And this is meant to be so I can be a better version of me, and I'm saving my strength for recovery. I see myself doing the things that I love after this, with the people I love. I learned to let go of the little things, learn to be okay with the present moment, no matter how hard it is or may seem. Shift perspective, and I see a rainbow. Shift perspective, and I see black. Shift perspective, and I feel good. Shift perspective, and I feel low. Shift to a higher place and stay in the sunshine. It's warmer there.
Oh, wow. Guys, if you're just tuning in, we are talking to the new authors. Doesn't that sound yummy? Yeah. Their latest book, Inspirations, 101 Uplifting Stories for Daily Happiness. Let me ask you guys, audience, do you want to experience heartfelt personal stories of growth and transformation? Do you want to shift your mindset around fear, anxiety, stress, illness, abuse, and loss? Do you want to explore new possibilities and gain a new understanding? How about being reminded that you are never alone, what we were just talking about? Please come in, see the authors. There's tons of inspirations in here. We happen to have my beautiful soul tribe here, Paula and Allison joining us, and I'm super excited for you guys to be launching this book. What can we tell the audience about overcoming our traumas? How can we inspire them? I know we talked about they're not alone. Don't isolate. It's okay to reach out, right?
Yeah, for me, I think the most important thing is staying connected, especially for, what I went through and what I'm still continuing to go through, becoming a widow. I mean, I'm a young widow. I was only 54 when Gary passed, and it's easy to just, want to become isolated and not talk to anybody. And I'm, I can't go out with people anymore because I don't have my guy with me. But I remember when I went back to work, and I remember telling my coworkers, it's like, don't be afraid to talk about your families with me, because I kind of sensed that they were afraid to, because they didn't want to make me feel sad, And I'm like, I still want to know what's going on with you, your friends, your kids, your husband or wife. Talk to me about those things, because I don't want to feel isolated and left out.
Don't make it a boundary. Don't make it a roadblock.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So, I mean, even though it was hard sometimes to listen to that, I wanted to feel what that felt like and move forward.
Yes.
And be happy for other people. And being that way was helping me move forward too. So I think that's the most important thing is community. You're going to have, no matter what challenge you go through, you're going to have people that fall away, just because some people are uncomfortable with it. Some people, like when you're sick, they don't want to see you that way, so they may not,
it's their way.
around.
It's
Yeah,
their
so,
way of dealing
so
with
you
it.
can't take that personally. It's just like, okay, that, that's not a judgment against me as a person. It's just life.
And that's
just
how
what
they
happens.
handle it.
Yeah,
That's how
yeah.
that
So to me, it's just connection, and that's why I love being a part of this community with this book. Allison and I had met briefly at Joe's workshops, but I didn't really know her very well, and now I got a new friend, and I've met, just staying connected and working on yourself is key to uplifting yourself from life's challenges.
Yeah. I say challenges, but they're all opportunities.
Yeah.
Wink, wink. And that's above the line thinking versus.
Yeah. And probably one of the biggest things, like we'll talk with my grief coach in a little bit, Denise. But one of the challenges that we have as widows is feeling like we can move forward and like we can. There is life after after the death of a loved one. And what we want to ask them, or try to ask them, what's the gift in it? Because there's a gift in everything that happens. Even when your husband dies, what's the gift? And for me, it's like, well, Gary died from throat cancer, and that's all about expression. And so for me, it's like, keep speaking your truth. Keep and that's what I'm doing. I'm doing things. I would never have done this probably if Gary were still alive. I wouldn't be doing grief retreats with Denise if Gary were still alive. And not that I can't go back. I can't bring him back. So what do I do to move forward and still be a productive being in our society? So it's the gift. It's important to always look at the gift that your situation is providing for you. What lesson can you get out of it?
And I love that. And Allison, I want to come to you too as well. But the death of anything, the shedding of anything. This could be the lungs. It could be the death of an old, belief, a limiting belief. It could be a death of a loved one. That death is a metaphor. It's like a big umbrella. So guys, again, what Paula was saying, it's community. Reach out. Don't be afraid. Don't isolate. And for those that are surrounded by the individual that have experienced the death, whether it's emotional, physical, or a loved one, please don't stop talking to them. Reach out to them. Have conversations. Now, also knowing too, and I think there's loving language that you can have if this is something that's hard for you, and just say, I know this is really hard on you, but I don't even, and maybe we'll talk about that in the next segment about grief, and we'll leave that for that communication on how to talk to somebody who's going through grief. So I'm going to leave that one on the burner because that's a really good question. But Allison, it's the same thing, it's the death of the old self or the body. And P.S., you're a runner and your lung was collapsed. That's crazy.
Yeah. Thanks. Thank you for saying that, because I was thinking the exact same thing. How even just the death of an old version of yourself.
Yes.
Or old beliefs or what you can and can't do. It really comes down to a choice, making that choice in your mind and shifting the perspective. Lungs are related to grief, actually. So I had actually recently gone through a breakup 3 months prior, and I think that was weighing very heavy on my chest. But I wanted to say mainly is, if you look at the word inspiration, inspire, it means in spirit, to be lifted in spirit. So whatever that is, if you can shift your perspective or awareness to something that brings you a little bit of joy, and you just feel that uplifting feeling, that emotion, then you can literally use that to transform, to take that one step forward. It doesn't have to be a leap, but
micro steps.
Yeah,
just a
those
little baby
first
steps.
Yeah, are what matters. And reaching out to someone, and then feeling the sense of community with, whether it's a small group or you find a larger group through whatever it is that you choose to do. And I had so much fear after this experience. I would.
The fear of the lungs or the fear of the publishing?
Because
you were tapping on, yeah. But you did it anyway.
I did it.
Yes.
Took the first step. Yeah, that's a huge leap, actually.
Yeah.
But the whole experience after the lung surgery, I really just was, analyzing every sensation in my body. So, but what happened was I had this opportunity that came up to do the British Columbia's Lung Association stair climb event. 3 months after surgery,
wow.
I did it. I climbed 48 flights of stairs, 739 steps.
Woohoo!
And you know what? After that, I never felt that fear again. And
wow.
I raised several $1,000s the last few years. I've done it 9 years in a row.
So what you did is your body, you had something going on with your body. Then you decided, it was a choice, to create a new experience. And that new experience built trust in yourself. And then subsequently the fear was gone because you were, go ahead.
Yes, absolutely. And I just felt so invigorated and so uplifted. And then I made new connections with people in that community. I went back every year. I used my birthday as a fundraiser, and it was just a great way to give back, something from the gift that I got from that experience. And there was something else I was going to
Well,
say.
and then
but
Paula was
yeah.
saying that too, is also look at the message. What is the message in the experience that's showing up for me right now?
Mhm.
And that is so powerful in a few reasons. One, you're not taking the victim role.
Right.
You're being empowered, and you're looking at it from an empowering, purposeful, heart-centered. When you can get there, versus the victim role. What am I? What is my message? What am I learning here? And be able to, and just asking those questions, it puts you in such a purposeful, powerful position versus the woe is me. Why is this happening to me?
Mhm.
Huge difference. So I think that with the 101 uplifting stories and the inspirations that this book has, but all of the stories in here is just that. It's overcoming, and whether it's a death of a loved one or a death of a self, and being empowered, being inspired, and taking your life by the reins. And this little gem of a book can help you do that. Congratulations on launching your book. For the audience, it's Inspirations, 101 Uplifting Stories for Daily Happiness. And they can get a copy of the book on...
Actually, it's on Amazon right now, and we'll post the links for it, but you can get a Kindle version for 99 cents during the launch period. Our launch runs August 6th to the 11th, so it's a great deal.
Great deal. And also, we're giving 2 to U.S. Residents today. So give us a call, 1-888-298-5569 or 425-373-5527. Websites, how can they get a hold of you? Allison, do you have a...
I have a Gmail account right now, so they can just email me, or that's all I have going right now.
Oh, that's fine, love. And you can find Allison's information on my Facebook, My Gratitude Cafe. We'll leave the Gmail account too.
Yeah.
We'll leave that off air. Paula, how about you?
Same for me. I mean, my website's in process. So,
Okay.
But I'm on Sue's page. I have a Facebook page there too, and you can reach me that way.
Yeah, and we are going to come back after our quick commercial break, and we're going to kind of go into that conversation about death and mourning, what that looks like, how you can get the tools that you need, and we're going to bring on our guest from Australia, and then Paula's going to join us. Allison, please join us, and Benny, we're going to take a quick commercial break. You guys, we'll be right back.
Right now, Doctors Without Borders medical teams are operating in some of the most remote and dangerous corners of the world. When front yards become front lines, when disaster erupts, when disease rages, when communities collapse under crisis, at the crossroads of conflict and epidemic, where there are no hospitals, that's where we operate. We go where conditions are the worst because that's where we're needed most. In nearly 70 countries, we're saving lives threatened by violence, disease, malnutrition, and catastrophic events. Donors are vital to our mission. Your response is critical to our response in places where few others will go. That's where we operate. Learn more at doctorswithoutborders.org.
Alternative Talk 1150 is your sports organization's safe bet when it comes to airing your team's games. Our players are all seasoned professionals when it comes to sports programming. Imagine your games being heard on local radio. Your team deserves the MVP treatment. Call 425-653-1150 today to learn how affordable and fun it is to broadcast your games on the radio. Call 425-653-1150 and make your next season something special. That's 425-653-1150.
Hi, this is Dr. Joe Dispenza. I wanted to take a moment and let you know about a nonprofit organization called Give to Give. The Give to Give Foundation was created by a group of people who have studied my work or have participated in my workshops around the world. And by applying the principles of mind over matter and the mind-body connection, They've created outstanding changes in their lives or in their health, and they wanted to give back. The organization is dedicated to providing the proper resources to those people in need to gain the opportunity to learn exactly how to change their body or their lives. If you want to learn more about the Give to Give Foundation, or you know someone that needs help, or you simply want to make a donation, visit givetogive.com. Those who give don't always know how to love. Those who love always know how to give. Thank you.
Working hard to put a smile on your face. Alternative Talk 1150.
Care go! Put your pinky in the air. I still like getting jiggy with it.
I know you do.
I do. Welcome back. Welcome back. Sue Lundquist here, and I am the goofy host of the Gratitude Cafe. At least today, I'm pretty goofy.
I think you're doing all right.
I think I'm
Bouncing
doing
all
right.
over.
Bouncing all over. I keep swaying over to our guests in studio, and Benny keeps saying, "Hey, get back over there."
She's speaking of the camera stuff.
Oh, the camera. Yes, the camera.
I think you're still holding ground.
I'm holding steady. All right, guys, if you're just tuning in, we just, the first top of the hour, we had a book launch, Inspirations, 101 Uplifting Stories for Daily Happiness. And Allison and Paula were telling us incredible, powerful stories of overcoming the death of a situation, a death of a loved one. And this little gem of a book was and is absolutely beautiful, and I highly recommend you guys going and checking it out. You'll find all the information on my Facebook page and the group that they are offering on Facebook as well, and we'll make sure all those links are intact and posted after today's live radio show. We are going to shift gears. Yes, we're still inspiring, and of course, you're always going to get new perspective, new thoughts, new ideas on this show. With this book and Paula's journey, she found a grief coach, and that really, really helped her through her transition, through her period of grief. And Denise is going to join us. She's actually joining us from Australia. And in 2009, and at only 51, Denise lost her husband, Martin, who suddenly, unexpectedly had a blood clot and started sinking into a deep pit of anger, depression, loneliness, and isolation. Everyone else around her was getting on with their lives. She was lost, lonely, and filled with fear of the future. She had no idea how she was going to live the rest of her life alone without him. So Denise needed help. She was broken and didn't know how to work through her paralyzing grief and pain. After trying many methods such as counseling, attending grief share groups, and therapy, none of which were long-term, she realized that if she was ever to be whole again, she had to change. And that's what we talked about at the top of the hour. You have a choice. You have that change in you. And quite honestly, picking up the bootstraps and having that bravery to do that. And Denise is going to join us. I'm not going to read the whole bio because I want Denise to come on and talk about her journey through, and I love the title of the website, Living Beyond Grief and Loss. And that's it. It's living beyond that because it's always going to be there. You're always going to have it. So I'd love to bring Denise on. Denise, welcome from Australia, love.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. It's early hours of the morning. It's dark outside. So, yes, thank you very much. It's lovely to join all of you.
Oh, thank you so much. So as a coach and a mentor, that you specialize in grief, and you are only working with widows now, and you and Paula got connected through her transition. And yes, I kind of talked a little bit about your story, but I want the audience to get to know you. So can you talk a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are in addition to the husband crossing over?
Absolutely. Well, in 2009, May 2009, my husband went off to work, normal day. About an hour later, Martin called me and he said to me, he's got terrible backache. Can I call the doctor? So called the doctor, but before I could get to call the doctor, he said, call an ambulance. I can't drive. He collapsed on the side of the road. The ambulance took him to hospital, and at this stage, we were living about 8 hours away from Brisbane. I'm from Queensland, so 8 hours north of Brisbane. So Brisbane was the closest big hospital. So he went to the local hospital. They had, they diagnosed him there that he had a bleed in his spine, and he was paralyzed from the waist down. And they flew him by the Royal Flying Doctor ambulance down from Rockhampton, where I was living, to Brisbane. And he went for emergency surgery. They released the blockage in his spine and the bleeding. They stopped the bleeding, but he was still paralyzed. And we thought that at worst he wouldn't be able to walk. Never expecting that he was going to pass away. He was in intensive care and he started moving his big toe, and we knew he was going to be okay. So I had to go back. We had businesses to run, so I had to go back. I was backwards and forwards, so I was driving 8 hours up and down. And about 2 weeks later, he was transferred into a ward, and he was awaiting transfer to another hospital to recoup and to rehabilitate so that he could start walking again. And I said goodbye. I drove back up to Rockhampton. That was the Sunday night, sort of just, getting into bed. Spoke to him at 7:30, and at 11:30 that night, the hospital called to say he had passed away.
Mm.
There was absolutely no warning, no goodbyes. He was 55. And he was fit and he was healthy.
Mm. Ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, love.
Plus, at the time, I was living on 8 acres by myself because the kids had all moved out. They'd got their own family and friends. When the hospital called, they just basically called and said to me, "Hey, is that Mrs. Dielwart?" And I said, "Yes, it is." And they said, "Can you wait for the doctor?" Doctor comes on and says, "Oh, I just need to tell you that Martin's not okay." And I said, "What do you mean he's not okay?" She said, "Oh, he's passed away." That's how I got the news that my husband had passed away.
Jeez. Ouch. I'm sorry, love.
Yeah. It was just cold fact. Your husband's passed away. And I said, "Well, how? What happened?" Obviously, I collapsed, threw myself on the floor, and I had nobody around me. It was just me and my little poodle Lulu.
Oh.
And I then had to phone my kids and tell them that their dad had just passed away.
Ouch. Again, though, at the top of the hour, we were talking about what's the message in all of this and how can I show up? How can I show up? How can I change my perspective? How can I change my mindset? How can I grow through this and make that choice to do that? And that's exactly what you did. And you created the flow method. Do you want to talk about that or yeah, because Paula then reached out to you and has also taken your is it the online course, right? Yes. So do you want to talk about the flow method? I know it was I jumped from the story straight into what you're teaching, but I think that's really important. And we got a time crunch. So I want to make sure that we get everybody the information that they need.
Absolutely. Well, the flow method was, I realized that I was hiding my grief. We mask our grief. We pretend we're okay.
Ooh,
and,
okay.
we're okay. Everybody says, "How are you?" "I'm fine, thanks. Everything's great." So the flow method stands for feel, let go, overcome, and become whole. Because until we actually feel our pain, we're never going to heal that. And the letting go is not letting go of the love or the memories that you shared with your life partner. It's the letting go of the pain, the letting go of the guilt. Because only then can you overcome and become whole. And the flow method is the foundation to the program and our retreats that we're running.
So flow, feel, let go. What was OW?
Overcome. And become whole.
Oh, become whole. I love that. And I love what you say. Grief does not heal. You do. I think that's beautiful. Paula, can you talk a little bit about your experience with Denise and now the retreats that you guys are hosting, which is super beautiful?
Well, interestingly enough, I found Denise on Facebook because I was struggling a little bit. My boss had recommended that I speak to somebody, get a counselor or whatever, and I wanted somebody that had experienced what I experienced. I wanted to talk to another widow, and just, coincidentally, I happened to see a Facebook post from her group, And so I joined it, and she offers a free breakthrough call. It's for widows only. Denise only works with widows. And so I thought, oh, what the heck, I'll give her a call. So we scheduled our call, and so we got to talking, and this was in early October. I was getting ready to go to Australia in a couple months because we were doing a week-long retreat with Dr. Joe's work.
Right.
And so she said to me, we were talking about whether I should join the online program, and I said, well, I'm getting ready to travel a little bit. And Denise's like, oh, where are you going to? And I said, oh, I'm going to Australia. And she goes, oh, well, of course, I knew she was from Australia because of her accent, right? And she goes, what part of Australia are you going to? And I'm like, well, I'll be on the Sunshine Coast. And she goes, really? I live kind of close to there. And what workshop are you, who do you work for? And I'm like, well, it's Dr. Joe Dispenza. And she's like, oh, my God, I'm going to that workshop.
Oh, no way. You didn't tell me that. That is amazing.
So I've fortunately, ladies who do the online program typically don't get to meet her in person. It does online. And so I got to meet her, I got there a couple days early, and her and I met for coffee, which turned into lunch, and we had a really great couple of hours together talking about things. And so that's how we met. And so what I loved about that kind of sealed it for me, because I wanted somebody who was thinking along the same lines that I think about. I didn't want to do the usual, therapy kind of thing. I believe in Dr. Joe's work and the work that, all that kind of work that he does and that other speakers like him do. And, it's all about open mind, open heart, responsibility.
Accountability.
And that's what she believes the same thing. And she walks the same path that I walk. So for me, that was like, oh, this is the perfect fit. So I decided to do it. I was a little unsure at first, and I remember telling her, first of all,
well, what were you unsure about? Because I'm sure the audience...
there were two things. Was the time, because, her program is 8 weeks, and I'm like, I can't commit to 8 weeks. I travel so much, and, I said, if I do this, you can't hold me to one, every week. I just can't. And she said, yeah, that's fine. And the other one was just, investing in myself, did I want to spend the money? And I remember she said, well, think about it, give it a day. And so I went downstairs into the kitchen, and standing by the kitchen window, and I talk to Gary all the time. So I said to Gary, hey, Gary, what do you think? Should I do this? And immediately a little hummingbird flew. And that's always my sign for Gary, that he's around. And a hummingbird was there, and I knew immediately that I needed to do this. So I agreed to that. And, she was great. She didn't hold me to the 8 weeks. It actually took me 4 months to complete it. But I completed it.
Yeah.
And it's a really great program. And I said to her, I think it was in March, March or April, Denise and I were talking, and I said, what do you think about bringing these to a live format, live retreat format? And we just decided to do that, and we've got retreats coming up. And
and we're going to
Denise can talk a little bit about.
Go ahead, Paula. I'm sorry.
Denise can share a little bit about what she sees the workshops.
How that all looks. So guys, what we're talking about here is we've got Paula and Denise, and the website is Living Beyond Your Grief and Loss. And grief does not heal, you do. And that is Denise's words. They are launching retreats specifically for widows. They're going to be in Florida.
Yeah, we'll be in Jacksonville in September, Seattle in November, San Diego in January, and Denver in March.
So guys, this is really important. I want you to hear what I'm saying here. We were just talking about how important it is to be within the community. These are women that have walked the talk. This isn't something that they haven't experienced before. They are actually engaged in the work themselves. They've been there themselves. And now they're creating an even better, inspiring experience for you to come and live in and above and beyond your grief. So come and get into these retreats in these communities so you can feel supported and loved. And you know what? You can lose your shiitake mushroom if you want, and you can feel vulnerable and scared if you want, because that's what it's all about. And to come and get the support and love that you absolutely deserve. Denise, do you want to talk a little bit about what's going to go on in the retreats?
Yeah, well, it's a 3-day retreat, and basically we're going to go into things like your beliefs, your conditioning, what you believe about grief, what you've been told about grief, because there's a lot of misconceptions out there that you've got to wait for time and you've got to go through the 5 stages of grief. That's the conventional method, the conventional way. It's the old, slow way. So the retreats are really to accelerate your grief healing, to accelerate you, to maybe introduce you for the first time into working on yourself. Because a lot of ladies have never done the internal work. They've been too busy looking after their families. They've never given themselves time to learn to love themselves.
Oh, I know nothing about that. I know we're all speaking the same language here, right? Yes.
Yeah. So it's really retreating out of, taking 3 days out of your life and reclaiming your life.
Oh, I love that. Guys, how do you listen to what they're saying? How about reclaiming your life? How about you joining their retreat and finding, if you have been, you get that squeaky wheel, that pang in your heart or the pang that's happening, and you know that you need to change. You know that there are options out there. That's that micro step, that baby step. This is the perfect community Denise and Paula are offering you. They're going to be in Seattle, Florida. What are the other locations?
San Diego and Denver.
San Diego and Denver. Their website, and you can get more information, is www.livingbeyondgriefandloss.com. And they also have a Facebook page, and you can get all connected through the website that way as well, too.
The Facebook page is a private group.
Okay.
But you can request to join it. We can send some information that way, too. But the reason Denise keeps it private is because...
Understandably.
We want to be a safe place, for women to express their truth, to express their pain, so safe place.
Because and it's only for women, and a lot of people have said, why don't you do men as well? Because when women need to open up and need to share and not feel that anybody else is perhaps judging them. So the group is Widows Living Beyond Grief and Loss, and it's purely for widows. It's very well policed, as I like to say. We keep everybody out. There are a few 3 questions to answer before you even get into the group, because I want to make sure that you are a widow and that you are the person for the group, because it's not your normal support group where there's no help and support. I'm in there giving lives, a lot of free information. Paula and I are now doing regular Facebook Live broadcasts in the group as well. So there's a lot of free information in the group.
And genuine engagement. And audience, this is really important, because I know through grief, and I've experienced, maybe not from a loved one, from a spouse, but tons of grief and trauma and all of that. But listen to what we're saying. That shame and that pain and that guilt that you're feeling, you can get the help that you so much deserve at these retreats. And not only that, the icing on the cake is the community, because now you've got true connection and friends that there's no judgments. They're going to love on you, and they're going to give you the tools that after you leave the retreat you can then employ and keep using. And then you can pick up the phone or go to the Facebook group and still get the support that you need. So these retreats are super, super powerful. Please go to livingbeyondgriefandloss.com. We've got about 2 more minutes. Paula?
Can I also just say, and the group is for widows only. It also includes, though it doesn't matter whether you were married to your life partner or not. There's many women that just have a long lifetime partner. If it was a husband or a wife, that's okay too. That's part of, it's just women who have lost their life partner. And we even have some ladies in the group that had a fiance that they were planning to get married, and death happened. So they're, we feel like they're still. They're our kin, and and they're we want to be inclusive in that way. So it's not just the traditional widow who is married to a man forever and ever.
We're not in a box like that. Yeah. So Denise and Paula, I commend you, and I'm probably going to start tearing up here, but I'm really proud of you for changing and being an inspiration for so many people.
Thank you. And I'm grateful to you, and such a rock for me.
Yeah, I love you, and I'm so proud and honored to be able to bring such an incredible retreat and for you and Denise, and I love the collaboration. Of course, you guys came together at the moment that you did, and of course, you guys are doing retreats, and I can see it totally exploding on other avenues too, because grief is a big umbrella. But right now, this is for women and widows, however that has showing up in your life, whether it's widows of, what did we just talk about? I got all emotional and then everything went out of my head. Husband, wife, long-term partners.
You can go back and listen to the podcast.
Yes, you can go back and listen to the podcast. I'm out of time. Oh, Benny. Okay.
Yeah.
So please go to livingbeyondgriefandloss.com. Denise, thank you so much for joining us so early in the morning from Australia. Thank you so much for showing up and giving the gift to Paula, to so many other people. Thank you both for coming to the show today. And for all of you out there, each of you are a gift. Get out there and share yourself with the world.
If you like the show, help more people find us by adding your review of the show on iTunes. The more reviews we get, the more people we can reach with this inspiring message on the Gratitude Cafe. Simply search for Gratitude Cafe in iTunes, hit subscribe, and add your honest review. It would help us immensely, and we'll be forever grateful. It's one of the best ways you can give back to the show with your review. Thanks for tuning in to the Gratitude Cafe. Don't forget, every week is a new show, and you could submit your questions at SueLundquist.com/Gratitude Cafe. The show goes live at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time in Seattle on Seattle's Alternative Talk AM 1150. You can also call in to the show at 425-373-5527 or 888-298-5569. Find the live streaming link at SueLundquist.com/Gratitude Cafe. We'll see you next week. The preceding audio was via a Skype call.